Hey guys, so today we are playing a little bit of Battlefield 3 and there is a very good reason for that, which I will get to later on, and we are taking a closer look at the patch notes for yesterday's patch, one note in particular. Now, as I said yesterday, overall the patch has been slightly disappointing. We had been hoping to see all of the new CTE features brought across into the game, as I spoke to you guys about the triage system, the transparency system for the HUD, but instead we only saw some very minor changes. So hopefully in the next patch, or maybe even with Dragon's Teeth in 6 days time on the 15th of July, hopefully we will see those features brought across. Now, within the notes we also saw a lot of little changes to the weapons, some of the glitches we had seen, including the RPG still appearing in the launcher after you fired off the last RPG whilst aiming down sight. So a problem we saw very often in Battlefield 3, of course. We didn't have the stage reload system we have now in Battlefield 4. And of course, every time you fired up an RPG, and if you didn't reload, you still saw it in the chamber when you brought it out again. And that is an issue we've seen recently in Battlefield 4, only with the last rocket if you're aiming down sight. So that's been fixed. And we've also seen some other changes to the animation when switching weapon with the AWS, the bipod for the M417. So as you can see, these are all very small, minor, almost insignificant changes. But inside this list is a very interesting change. It says, foregrip in third person is now hand in correct position on the M416/M417. Now, for any of you guys who are very keyed up, you'll know straight away there's something very odd about that sentence, M416/M417. Now, the M417 isn't in Battlefield 4 currently, but it is a weapon we saw in Battlefield 3. Now, the weapon itself didn't come out with the base version of the game. In fact, it came out with the second DLC, Close Quarters, about 6 months after release. Now, the weapon itself was very simple to unlock. All you had to do was get 10 tug assists using the Recon class, of course, the class that this weapon was exclusive to, and then get 20 flag captures, so very easy to unlock. Now, in Battlefield 3, we didn't have an allocated slot for designated marksman rifles. They were just semi-automatic sniper rifles only available to the Recon class. Now, at the time, this weapon did prove very popular. In fact, it probably became too popular because a lot of people complained it was overpowered, and if I remember correctly, it did take a massive nerf. But all the same, this weapon was a turning point for the Recon class. Eventually, it had a weapon that was still very accurate at range, could take out targets very easily, but still at very close range, you could spam those rounds out there, and you could still compete alongside the assault rifles and LMGs very, very easily. So it allowed the Recon class to become a very upfront PTFO style class. As you can see, as I'm using it throughout this gameplay, it allows you to take out targets at long range with very accurate headshots, but if someone comes too close, you can definitely spam that trigger, and that high damage model allows you to compete with very fast firing AEKs and M16A3s. Now, during the life cycle of Battlefield 3, I rarely used the Recon class, and I really didn't use the DMRs, but since Battlefield 4, I have become a lot more used to those weapons now, so going back to Battlefield 3 and testing this weapon out, giving it a real run for its money, I have become a big fan of it. So if we were going to see it brought into Battlefield 4, how would it make a difference? Well, let's take a look at the real weapon. The M417 is actually based off the Heckler & Koch H&K 417, the big brother of the H&K 416 chambered in 5.56 that we do see in Battlefield 3 and Battlefield 4. Now, the 417 is actually chambered in 7.62, a much larger cartridge than the 5.56 and packs a much bigger punch. Now, in real life, the weapon is available with a 10-round box magazine, a 20-round box magazine that we do see in Battlefield 3, and also a 50-round drum magazine, which unfortunately isn't available in the game. Now, whilst in Battlefield 3 to be a DMR, the weapon is semi-automatic only, in real life, this weapon does have a fully automatic feature, firing 600 rounds a minute, so just as fast as a lot of the assault rifles we see in the game. Now, in Battlefield 4, we already have a lot of DMRs, and they do all feel very similar. The Mark 11 Mod 0, the M39 EMR, the Scar HSV, they all have very similar damage models, recoil models, and they just feel like the exact same weapon. So bringing in a ninth DMR that just adds to the list does seem a little bit pointless. I would love to see a weapon that bridges the gap between assault rifle and DMR. If we could have this weapon maybe available in burst fire, or even if it was in a fully automatic version, but maybe it has a lot of recoil, a lot of kick, try and make a bridge between assault rifles and DMRs, that would be something I would love to see in the game. A weapon you could still flick to single fire and make it very, very accurate at range, but at close range you might be able to dish out a 3-burst shot. But of course, if we do try and bridge this gap, the question is then, which class would this weapon be? Would it be an assault rifle for the assault class, a DMR for all the classes, or even a semi-automatic sniper rifle still only available for the recon class? So those are just my opinions on the weapon. Whilst I would be very excited to see it join the armory of Battlefield 4, I think it would be a crying shame just to make this an extra DMR that no one's really going to use because all of the DMRs feel the same. If we could try and do something maybe a little bit different, try and lean towards the realism of the weapon, bring in maybe burst fire or even fully auto, and just make a weapon that bridges that gap, something a little bit different would make it a lot more exciting. But either way, I want to hear from you guys down in the comment section below. What is your opinion of the H&K 417 or the M417 in Battlefield 4? Is it a weapon you would like to see in the game? Would you want to see it as a DMR, maybe an assault rifle, maybe something else? Tell me all down in the comments below. And of course, if you did enjoy this video, a like is massively appreciated and it really does help me out. But in the meantime, guys, thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon.